Hey there, friends. Before we get into the stories, I'm going to once again, very quickly, nowhere near as long, advertise my book that released this last week on the 10th. The Insomniac's Experiment is a psychological thriller that I've written and would like you to check it out. The links are down below, but you can go to ko-fi.com/astheravendreams to buy it directly from me. There are more copies available. It did sell out once already, but I bought a lot more, so. Or you can check out the Amazon link down below for Kindle versions, or for non-signed physical versions. They will get to you faster, but they won't be signed, and won't come with the fancy sticker, so. That's all. Check it out if you want. I've been told it's good. Hopefully it is. But anyways, enjoy. Hi, Raven. You're my favorite narrator, and I've listened to a lot. I appreciate that you're really a nice person, and it shows. And I proudly display my signed Raven poster on my door. Well, thank you very much for that. Glitches are my everyday life. These stories of things disappearing and reappearing, I call that Tuesday. It's been happening all my life, so I don't even try to make sense of it anymore. Unfortunately, the vast majority of items that go missing for me never reappear, even when I pack up and move. I've permanently lost an uncountable number of belongings this way. One of the strangest was more than 20 years ago, when my avocado tree disappeared. I'd bought it and planted it in my backyard, and 3 days later, it was gone, never to be seen again. My husband at the time was witness to this, so I didn't imagine it or anything. Our backyard wasn't accessible to anyone. It was fenced in on all sides. There was no hole where we had planted it, just a smoothed over spot. This is why I don't submit my stories. To me, they're my norm. But I just had something pretty cool happen, so I'm sending you this in case it may help someone else. I'm almost 60 and I take various medications daily. I keep them in a little plastic daily pill organizer. Yesterday, after my morning dose, I set the pill keeper back on my bedside table, where I always keep it. Last night, when it was time for my evening dose, the pill keeper was gone. And not on my bedside table where I clearly remembered having set it that morning. I looked everywhere on the table, next to and under the table, but it was gone. This morning, when it was time for my morning dose, I saw that my pill keeper was still missing. So I spent more time looking all around for it. It wasn't anywhere. Then I tried something else. I spoke out loud to whomever it is that plays these pranks, or the Matrix Masters, or whatever powers that be. I said, "It's frustrating when you move my normal everyday items, but this is about my health, and not something we mess around with. Please, return my pill keeper now." At the very moment that I finished that sentence, I heard something hit the floor next to my bed. I don't have carpeting, and I could tell that it was the sound of plastic. I thought it must be my pill keeper. But at the exact moment that I'd asked for it, the thump sound was louder than I thought it should be, since it weighs next to nothing. It was indeed my pill keeper. I think the sound it made was a little louder than it should have been, maybe so that I would hear it for sure. Or maybe it was the sound like that of a petulant child saying, "Okay, fine," and begrudgingly tossing it back to me. So, to my dear fellow lost item glitch targets, next time something goes inexplicably missing, try asking nicely. You might just get it back. Love to all, and to you and yours, Raven. Much love. Hello, Raven. I've been an avid listener to your stories for a year now. I never expected that I would write a glitch story, but it feels absolutely weird, and I haven't forgotten about it days later. It happened last weekend. It was a relatively mundane Saturday morning when my aunt called me for an unexpected errand. I had to rush my breakfast and put the bread and stuffing in the oven toaster. I always set it on my usual timer, which is 5 minutes. At the same time, I decided to take a bath since I have to go outside to accomplish that errand. I always take a bath on my usual duration, which is around 10 to 15 minutes, and expect the toaster to be done by then. After bathing and checking the toaster, to my surprise, it still turned on with 10 minutes left on the timer. I was shocked. I was alone in the house at that time, so there was no chance that someone pulled a prank on me. I was genuinely baffled because it broke a lot of the usual stuff that I expected things to happen. It wasn't overcooked or turned into charcoal, and there had definitely been at least 15 or more minutes since I turned it on, and I ate it just fine. A small detail I can vividly recall is that I heard a popping noise inside the toaster as I looked at it in shock after bathing. I've used the toaster a number of times after that incident, and it's been totally normal since then. I don't know if there's any side effects of eating a glitched breakfast, but I genuinely freaked out. I've yet to know if this leads to other different things that change in my timeline. Surely it couldn't have only been the toaster event and nothing else. I believe our reality is a lot more complex than what we are able to see. If there are more future glitches in my reality, I'll be happy to write them to you. And thank you. My friend and I took a beach trip our senior year of high school by ourselves to Myrtle Beach. This was such an important moment for both of us, as we've never taken a trip by ourselves without our families joining us. We were staying at my aunt's beach camper and not having to pay her or anything. It was super generous of her. It was a small camper with one main bedroom on the far right side, a living area with a counter space as soon as you enter the door, and a room on the far left with bunk beds. Each morning we would pack a cooler with snacks, beverages, sunscreen, and whatever we needed to stay on the beach until lunchtime. My aunt let us use her golf cart to drive down to the beach, which was super convenient and generous of her. We always put the keys to the building, which contained the charger for the golf cart, and keys to the camper itself, in the outside pocket of the cooler, both on 2 different keyrings. So, inevitably, a couple of days into the trip, we went through our routine of packing said bag, putting on our swimsuits, and getting ready for the day. We head down to the beach and go about our day having fun. Around noon, it's time to head back to the camper. My friend and I park the golf cart in front of the shed, and grab the house keys from the bag to get into the camper. She sets down the cooler bag on the counter. We hang out for a little bit, going in and out of the bedroom trying to gather our things to hit the shower house down the gravel road later on. At some point we realize that we should probably charge the golf cart in the meantime, but we can't find the cooler bag. It seemed like it just disappeared. We searched everywhere in the camper, and even on the small front porch. It was nowhere to be found. We both start freaking out and stressing because my aunt will be so disappointed if we lost her keys. I contemplated calling my aunt and explaining that we lost the keys, but something told me that we could just go to Lowe's or Home Depot to get bolt cutters, and then just replace the keys and lock ourselves, so she wouldn't have to know. We didn't want to jeopardize a future trip down to the beach. So, we grab the car keys and head to get the bolt cutters and a new lock and key to replace the one on the building. We had a successful trip, and the guy even said that we could just return the bolt cutters later for a refund. In the car ride back to the camper, we just felt dumbfounded that we lost the keys, and how it didn't make sense because we had the cooler when we came back from the beach. But we were ready to take our losses and move on with the day. We park and head to the camper, and as soon as we open the door, our eyes meet the counter where the cooler was perfectly sitting. we both kind of just freeze. It felt like we had seen a ghost. I look inside of the pocket of the cooler, and sure enough, the keys were right in there. Mind you, my aunt is not in town, and no one else has the keys to the camper. I still, to this day, 10 years later, am shook to my core that the cooler just disappeared and reappeared. My friend and I occasionally bring it up and think to ourselves that we're going crazy, but we both remember this happening. This is a small glitch, but I still think about it often. I'm a professional musician. Many years ago, I was performing at a folk festival and bought myself a pair of earrings from a vendor. They were nothing fancy, just a small silver set of dangly earrings that were the classic Tree of Life image. About a year later, I was staying in Toronto attending rehearsals prior to a tour. The group had made t-shirts for the tour, and I tried one on at the rehearsal to make sure it fit. When I arrived back to the home where I was staying that evening, I realized one of my earrings was missing. I assumed it had been knocked off when I tried on the t-shirt earlier, and I figured I likely wouldn't find it, as I wouldn't be back in the rehearsal space again to look for it. Nevertheless, I showed the single earring to my host and asked her to keep an eye out for it around the house, in case it turned up. Sometimes I find lost earrings hiding in my curly hair, or in my scarves, or perhaps I had lost it before or after the rehearsal. I tucked the remaining earring into a small pocket in my purse, just in case the other one turned up. For a couple of years, I would see the single earring in the jewelry box in my bedroom and feel a bit sad. Though they weren't expensive, they had sentimental value as they reminded me of the festival where I purchased them, so I didn't have the heart to throw it out. One day, I reached deep into the pocket of my purse, and felt an earring. I pulled it out, and it was the single earring I had tucked in there in Toronto. I live over 3,000 kilometers away. I was confused, as I thought I had placed that single earring in my jewelry bowl in my bedroom, and I had seen it there many times. So I checked, and sure enough, I now had the complete set of earrings. One in my jewelry bowl at home, and one that I had tucked into my purse for safekeeping when the other was lost. I had no idea how the lost earring found its way to my jewelry bowl across the country, nor how I had never come across the earring in my purse all those years, so I'm not sure which earring glitched its way back into my possession. In any case, I was happy to have the set reunited, and began wearing them again. Within a month, I returned home from the hardware store one day to realize I was, once again, missing an earring. It has not turned up yet. Perhaps the universe realized the glitch and corrected itself by once again making one of the earrings disappear. Months later, I bought myself a new set of Tree of Life earrings. This time they were gold. I don't specifically remember losing one of them, but I now only have one in my jewelry bowl at home. The other has never turned up. I guess the universe really doesn't want me to have a set of Tree of Life earrings. If I see another set one day, I think I'll buy them, and see how long I can keep the pair without losing one. This happened a few days ago. It was just another ordinary day. I was minding my business, washing my clothes like I always did. A little backstory. I have a cousin who lives across the street, but not directly opposite my house. Our homes are slightly staggered. This particular day, a neighbor was getting married, and since my cousin is good friends with him, he had been helping with the wedding arrangements. He wasn't home when all of this went down. Now, to the story. I was outside at the side of my house, taking clothes out of the dryer to hang them up. The sun was just right, and I was in my zone. That's when I heard it. A car with loud music pulled up in front of my cousin's house. Curious, I paused for a moment, but since I couldn't see his house directly from where I stood, I could only see the street. I continued with my chores. About 10 seconds later, the car drove off. I leaned forward to catch a glimpse of it. To my surprise, it was my cousin in his gray car, windows rolled down, and I saw him clearly, wearing a blue shirt, party vibes, and all. He was heading in the opposite direction, not the direction that he had come from, and I thought to myself, this man is definitely in party mode. Shrugging it off, I continued with my task. I grabbed 2 more pieces of clothing from the dryer and then moved to the front of the house to hang them on the balcony. But then, something strange happened. There he was, my cousin, again, pulling into his driveway coming from the opposite direction, not the direction he went. Same car, same blue shirt, only this time there was no loud music. I froze. What just happened? It had only been seconds since I saw him leave in the other direction, and now he comes from the opposite direction. What is happening? Was it someone else the first time? But I clearly saw him. He had a specific look. It was definitely him. And if he took a detour, it's impossible to be home in less than 20 seconds. The detour usually takes 5 to 6 minutes. And it left me wondering, who was it the first time? So, it's 9:50 a.m. right now, and my mom, who doesn't really pay attention to the glitches that happened to her, came to me to share the 2 consecutive glitches that happened in the span of like an hour this morning. Every day my mom wakes up at 5:30 a.m. and makes tiffin for my dad. There's a food in India, we call it luchi, which is a deep-fried flatbread made of flour. My mom makes 4 luchis for my dad, but today, by mistake, she had put the first luchi when the oil wasn't ready yet. It made the luchi crispy, and that's not what my dad prefers. So my mom had to fry 4 more luchis, and she kept counting them as she was still a bit sleepy. Keeping all 5 of them on a plate, she went out of the kitchen to put the remaining dough in the refrigerator. When she came back to pack Dad's lunchbox, she noticed that there were only 4 luchis, along with the crispy one. I guess the universe doesn't care about my dad's preference. Now, the next glitch actually occurred first. My mom narrated it to me in reverse order, so I'm doing the same. When my mom woke up at 5:30, she went to the washroom first and then to the balcony to watch our neighbor's argument show. She decided that she would rest in the bed for a few more minutes before going to the kitchen. So, she came into the bedroom, closed the door, but she clearly thought to herself that she's not going to lock it, and she clearly remembers not locking the door. She walks up to the bed and rests in a half-sitting, half-laying position for 4 to 5 minutes. She was sleepy but couldn't doze off, as she knew that she would have to wake up soon. After 4 to 5 minutes, when she was going to leave the room, she pulled the door handle but couldn't open the door. She looked up, and to her surprise, the door was locked. It has a vertical sliding bolt gate latch, and it wasn't just pushed up, but also turned to the side. And my mom said that she was so sure she didn't do it. I was also sleeping in the same bedroom and didn't get off the bed until 9 a.m. My mom generally brushes off the glitches that happen with her, but this time she said it's the biggest one, and she can't brush it off. I was the one that introduced her to these terms, like glitch in the matrix, time slip, simulation theory, etc. And she said that if I hadn't talked to her about those things, she would definitely think there was a ghost in our house. Alright, that's all. Thank you, Raven. You were the one I thought of when my mom was yapping her stories to me. Well, thank you. This is my story as of a few years ago. It was 2017 and I was going to be a father. She was a lot younger than me, and I was going back and forth between Utah and Washington State. My girlfriend at the time's family was very LDS, and because I have a colorful past, they decided in case I had a slip up or moved, it would be best if I wasn't on the birth certificate, or that he even had my name. When I figured this out, it was crushing to me. I had always wanted to be a father, and this felt like a piece of me was ripped away. We eventually split up, but the following years got very strange for me. I started getting vertigo, and a couple of times it was so bad that I started hallucinating sounds and the presence of a little boy and a man. I don't know what to make of that, but I'm telling you it was real. I chalked it up to having vertigo until it happened when I wasn't having symptoms. Then I remember having this crazy dream of another world that is too bizarre to even explain. I would have this dream a couple more times. I can remember it quite well, but I do not know how to explain it. At any rate, things got really weird when I met this other girl who was borderline psychotic, and the events I would experience with her were so weird. One example, I noticed some of my medication had come up missing, and she was the only person there, so I called the cops and left a statement with them. Well, we made up and I allowed her back over for her to do it all over again, so again I called the cops. Well, when I talked to them, they said they had no record of me ever calling, let alone a statement. I suppose this could be anything, but it was just so weird. The funny thing is, I had just barely met this girl, but I was getting dreams of us in a different reality and a beautiful relationship developing. We would eventually drift apart after playing this long, drawn-out psychotic game. From here, things would only escalate. I would text friends or talk to people, and they would be offended. As if I was in someone else's body doing what I would do, and something else would come out of my messages. This seriously had gotten to the point that I was afraid to talk to anyone. I'm even afraid of this now in fear that it might come across as something else. Family has been treating me differently. Where before I was one of the go-to guys in my family, I'm now regarded as the black sheep that no one takes seriously. Recently, I went to a Reiki therapist, and she pulled out this crystal attached to a chain. I think they call it muscle. It's something I can't remember. But I would tell her my question, and she would ask. If it was no, the crystal would swing left to right, and yes, it would swing forward. It's amazing how this thing works, and it's totally real, and I suggest it. Well, one of the questions was, am I in a different dimension? And it was a profound swing back and forth. There's no way that she could make it swing like that, and why would someone do that anyways? She's a therapist with plenty of clients. I recently discovered your channel, and listening to the stories that you read make me seem not as crazy as I thought I was. This is one of many glitches I have experienced, and this one messes with me the most to this day. I just recently got my car in August of this year. I bought it from this buy and sell place, and one day when I was looking in the glove box, I randomly felt behind it. I don't know why I did, but I just did. And I found the last 2 registration papers, and both of the last 2 owners had the same first name, middle initial, and last name. And they were born on the same day, but exactly 2 years apart. And they were 2 different people. When the first person got rid of the car, ironically 2 years later, the second person got the same car that I have now. I mentioned it to one person, and I went to check my glove box again, and guess what? The paper wasn't there. I looked everywhere, and I couldn't find it. My friend thought that I was crazy, but I swear they were real. I hope this made sense, and thank you for taking your time to read it. When I was 11, my aunt had given me a really expensive necklace, about $100, for Christmas. I was very surprised because she wasn't a rich person. Once we had opened the rest of the presents, we all went into our room and put our presents away. I immediately made a special holder for it since I didn't want to ruin it. I went to put it on, but I dropped it. I then looked everywhere. My floor was spotless, but the presents on my floor. I looked everywhere under my dresser, under my bed, even in the drawers. I shook all the clothes, and I even checked inside of them. I was panicking. I thought they were going to be mad and I would never get anything for Christmas again. We ate dinner, and then I started to panic after looking again. I eventually calmed down and fell asleep because it was late. I woke up and did my laundry, and then I went to go play with the stuff I got for Christmas. A couple of hours later, I went to get the laundry, and I folded it and put it away. Then, I put on an outfit. There was a lump in the shirt. It had 2 layers, so I thought that it was weird because the layers were sewn together. I felt it a little bit, and it felt like the necklace. I didn't really care about that shirt, so I cut it open. There it was, the necklace. I was so happy, and coincidentally my aunt was there, so I told her how I had lost it. She was also happy. And that is how I experienced a glitch in the Matrix. I live in Pennsylvania. We had a guy called Andrew Fetterman running for senator who had a stroke early on in his campaign. But he won anyway because Dr. Oz was his competition. I have a friend named Andrew on Discord who posted a meme about Fetterman, and I specifically remember thinking that it was funny how they had the same name. Also, there were political signs in front yards with Andrew Fetterman written on them. Recently, I heard about him going on the Joe Rogan podcast. Only, his name is now John Fetterman. I swear, I'm either going crazy, or this really happened to me. I have no idea how I could have a memory that drastically far off from what happened. Because I swear my friend made fun of him for looking like a Neanderthal. And I thought that my friend seemed pretty caveman-like in appearance to be criticizing someone else for it. How could I have made that up? I've never had anything like this happen before, or since. I've taken trips to St. Cloud from St. Paul in Minneapolis a countless times, and today myself and my auntie noticed we somehow teleported to St. Cloud, or got to it faster than usual. We skipped Monticello, which was the halfway city, and we got to St. Cloud in half the time. We initially drove from St. Louis Park, which is a border city, to Minneapolis. So, I believe we somehow teleported, or glitched the Matrix. I looked at my gas tank, and it barely moved, so there's some sort of a reality glitch in the Matrix. The shocker is that we didn't see Monticello, which is the halfway point city, and usually an hour and 20 minutes some drive to get to St. Cloud, and that part of 94 West to St. Cloud doesn't have rush hour traffic. No traffic delays unless some accident occurs. So, my auntie and I are shocked at how we got there so crazy fast. She even asked if I took some other road. But I told her that only I-94 comes to St. Cloud. This is a short one that I don't expect to be used, but here it goes. I was eating pizza bagels at my kitchen table, and I left about half on my plate. I left the house, and when I got home, up in bed, there was the plate of pizza bagels. I have no recollection of ever bringing any onto my bed, but there they were, with the red sauce on my bed sheets. I don't know if maybe I brought them up and just forgot, or if someone else in my family did, but what do you think? Alright, my friends, that was this week's glitch in the Matrix collection. A collection of some shorter stories. All of them were fairly short compared to the stories I usually do, but I had a large, a significant number of submissions that were shorter, obviously. So I was thinking about it and decided I would just do them all in one video, make it about half an hour, so about 12 stories, and it worked out, so. Hopefully, you all enjoyed them. I know some people like the longer stories, and some people complain when the stories are too long, so I don't know. Maybe this is some sort of compromise, and we can all just accept that some shorter stories happened, and that's great. I don't know. I'm just kind of talking to the wind here. Yeah. I don't usually do shorter stories, so, not like this. I don't know. If you liked them, great. If not, well, wait till next week, because I do this weekly, as you all know. Glitch stories. Yeah. Not really much to talk about. My boxes to ship my books should be here today. They were supposed to be here yesterday. And the day before. Not the day before, just yesterday. I'm thinking of something else. I've had a lot of delays in shipment, and it's kind of getting on my nerves. Everything just keeps getting delayed more and more and more, and it's frustrating whenever you're, trying to hype things up to your listeners, and they're like, yeah, I want a book. I'm going to buy the book. Great. And when's it going to get to me? And I'm like, yeah, it should be soon. I have all the books, and I'm just waiting for the, boxes to ship them in. And then I get told they're delayed till today. Problem is, I swear these places keep using USPS, and USPS in this area is just getting worse and worse, so I don't know what's happening or what's going on anymore. They'll be there very soon, guys. If you ordered one of the first 20 books, you'll have your book very soon. So, the rest of them, I have to wait until they get delivered. I think the next set should be delivered today or tomorrow. And the next set after that should be another couple days. And then it's just, I'll let y'all know whenever they're coming to. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore. It's just frustrating. Anyways, I wrote a book. Go check it out. ko-fi.com/astheravendreams. Or just search the Insomniacs Experiment on Amazon. I talked about at the beginning of the video. So, yeah. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please do hit the like button. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, consider subscribing. You can also sign up for my Patreon or the memberships down below, which is to get access to early access to content and other things, depending on what you sign up for. You can also do a super thanks, which is a tip to the channel. Though at this point, don't tip the channel. Just go to ko-fi.com/astheravendreams and buy a book. That'd be cool. I've sold a lot. I've already sold out once, so I bought more. But now I need people to buy the more that I bought, because that was like $300 for the extra 50. More than that, but anyway. That's not me trying to guilt trip you guys, I swear. I realize now that came out wrong, but take it as you will. You can also listen on Audible and Spotify and Amazon and all those places for the podcast. You can also just keep being you, because you're amazing. The other thing we do on the glitch videos is what we call the word of the week. Word of the week is I give you a word, you take said word and make a comment with said word, and then next week I screenshot your comment and put it at the end. It's a lot of extra work and it's a lot of fun, so we do that. Last week, a lot of you left comments with the word of the week. You were not being languid about it, despite how some of you said you were languid, which is kind of funny. But on the screen right now and several moments prior to now are screenshots of all of the comments that I got using last week's word of the week in the video. And they did it in time, which is by the following Sunday. All these people went above and beyond, and I thank them sincerely for that. Thank you all very much for leaving comments. If you didn't, that's totally okay. I never expect you to, but it is appreciated. This week, the word of the week is a bit more disinclined to be spoken. That is taciturn. Taciturn. Temperamentally disinclined to talk. Synonyms: silent, restrained, reticent. Basically just being quiet or silent. Somebody who is taciturn is one who is not outspoken, and they just kind of keep to themselves. So, if something is taciturn, it is not verbal, not loud, if that makes sense. Not outspoken. Use it in a sentence on the comments, get it in the next week's video, the screenshot, so, yeah. All that's it, friends. Hope you're having a beautiful day. Hope I do see you again here very soon, but until then, remember that you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you are the best you that you can be. Do not forget that, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And until next time, my friends, much love, and sleep well.